When you think of exploiters and cheaters in skill-based video games such as Obbies on Roblox, you might think of people like Space UK, who was a Geometry Dash long-term cheater that took ages to be exposed. But what if I said Roblox Obbies are actually not that much different when it comes to how easily you can cheat to complete an obby and make it look as if you never cheated and were fully legit the entire time. This video is not about Marcus study, but rather let's look at him as an example.
And well, this whole time, we've been using something called Replayability that I made like a few months ago.
Marcus Study was a Duke Stars of Hell legend that was seen as being the most skilled player of all time back then. Duke Stars of Hell being the hardest tower obby-based Roblox game that is out there. He was the first one to complete the Tower of Vacant Hindrances before his downfall, which back then was deemed to be the new most difficult obby ever completed on Roblox. However, rest assured, he was soon afterwards exposed for using a replayability exploit that allows you to replay an obby as if you are entirely legit, which is said to have gotten patched later on. So he basically fooled the entire Roblox obby community for quite a long period of time with such ease that nobody thought of it. It was impossible to tell whether or not he was legit by simply looking at his frames and other things such as Microprofiler. Microprofiler is a built-in profiling tool of Roblox's engine. The profiler records information about task scheduler processes in real time. The interface can be toggled on or off anytime by pressing Ctrl and F6 at the same time. Due to the fact it records real-time processes, it can be used as a way to detect fake obby completions and so on. Some towers and obbies may also require FPS to be shown in order to be deemed legit, as it is another way of checking real-time numbers, excluding the fact tower completions are deemed unlegit past 90 FPS, due to changing a lot of the physics of the Roblox engine, making some of the jumps much easier, while some jumps being much harder, so it makes an inconsistent balance in the difficulty. But either way, what does this have to do with exploiting and faking obby completions? Well, it is so simple in fact that anybody can fake any tower and obby completion out there. You might think it's not possible to fake them with real-time FPS or a timer as you progress through the obby, such as towers in Duke Stars of Hell and how they have a timer that tracks the time of your entire run in the tower until you win or leave the tower, as these are normal requirements to have your tower completions to be deemed legit by the overall Roblox community. But before we go further, I want you to guess which one of these upcoming videos have a cut in them and which one is unlegit and why so. Oh, and if you enjoy watching my videos, I would highly appreciate it if you subscribe and watch until the end and like the videos. It helps so much more than you think it does, so genuinely thank you from the bottom of my heart. Anyways. The first video was a decoy with an obvious cut. The other two videos were very precisely made cuts that can only be detected frame by frame, as it is impossible to detect a cut just from Microprofiler and FPS alone, as those can often have spikes and dips in them, which are normal, and it does not always mean there is a cut, and most people will never watch a tower or obby completion frame by frame, as that will be extremely tedious to do, obviously, unlike short Geometry Dash level completions. Let alone even missing the cut, even if you look frame by frame, possibly due to the cut being a frame perfect cut, which can be pulled off with enough care by anybody out there. But does this mean there really aren't other rules to implement for detection of unlegit completions on obbies? Well, before moving on, there are Discord community servers such as Top Towers community, where you are able to actually claim a role of your completion by sending the entire run of your completion with microprofiler and FPS in the run, with the exception of horrific plus difficulty requiring additional information such as keyboard camera to ensure that none of the most difficult obbies ever completed on Roblox are fake and unlegit, which actually does work. Keyboard camera is one of the only ways to prove that you are fully legit. However, calm down, as it is not that simple, because except horrific and higher difficulty completions, none of the other towers require this. So that means you are able to actually fake any catastrophic and below tower on the list with frame perfect cuts, or even less talked about, self-made replayability systems. Roblox runs on 2006 code, and their anti-cheat can't detect everything out there. So an experienced scripter and coder could legit simply make their own replayability system, share it with friends or close relatives, and then fake any catastrophic tower and below on the list of the hardest obbies ever completed, and towers. This also sadly includes Jukes Towers of Hell towers, even with the live timer that is always at the top of your screen, as replayability systems work by replaying your own movements, obviously, just like the Jamet Dash replayability system from Mega Hack and other exploits. So a replayability system could go entirely undetected even with Task Manager shown, which is why keyboard camera is one of the few things to prove you are fully legit. But most players don't use it either way. So why is it that people don't really tend to care that much if a catastrophic tower gets exploited and cheated, considering there are no extra rules for catastrophics? Well, every catastrophic tower would be deemed as humanly possible no matter what, in less than a few months for any player at that scale, so I guess it is just the community that is against adding additional rules to catastrophic towers, along with members thinking it is unnecessary, as most catastrophic wins are legit either way. But this does not mean there aren't some cheaters out there. It really brings the question of how many cheaters and exploiters could possibly still be out there, as even horrific skilled players and above could have cheated up until this point. And keyboard camera is not even a forced requirement for completions of that difficulty. So at this moment it is 100% possible to fake a replayability system completion and get it on the list of the hardest obbies ever completed if you are a trusted member of the community that is not expected to exploit by anybody out there. Even I could do this, but I would rather not let the intrusive thoughts win. Anyways, what are some things that could possibly be done to actually prevent this from happening and to prevent people from cheating this way? Well, keyboard camera being forced upon everybody is surely one of them, but this community is mostly packed with people in their teenage years, and many will disagree upon this rule despite making sense, as some people are insecure of their hands or voice or simply refuse to show their keyboard camera for other reasons such as not owning a camera in the first place. So in the end it would not be fair for everybody out there, I guess. But this brings us to live streaming. This would not detect a replayability system, but it would detect any of the other ones, as long as it is not pre-recorded, which you can easily tell by the streamer replying to viewers and other factors such as sending a message in Discord at a specific time. However, this does not mean they still are unable to use a replayability exploit if they somehow got their hands on one in the first place. So is it even possible to detect a replayability system? Well, not that I can think of, not really, you can't. You can't properly disprove this without a keyboard camera or a real life camera, but anything on the internet can be faked if we really think about it. Getting very deep into this topic, aren't we now, huh? Well, moving on from that. Could any of the top players as of right now be cheaters? Well, that is left to be a speculation for people to find out as time goes. I personally believe none of them are at this moment, but you never know. And you also never know how many catastrophic completions could have been cheated without anybody ever knowing, and there is sadly not much to even do about this when it comes to obbies. Client objects could also prove a video was cut, but there are many towers that don't actually use client objects, so it really does not mean that much. Oh, and if you wonder why I did not mention the keyboard layout called NoBoard for OBS or any recording software out there, a replayability system can mimic NoBoard keyboard T pluses if the creator is smart about it. So it does shit. It does not do anything if you are smart. But anyway, thanks for watching, watch this now and I'll give you a hug.